Well, we're only a couple of days away from the Magic Millions Carnival, at least the second day, and over $13 million of prize money on offer. Bernadette, Cooper and myself, we're going to have a quick look at a couple of the features, but first and foremost, Bernie, we've had that track gallop this morning and we are racing on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it's certainly been a week of peaks and troughs, hasn't it? So everybody waited with bated breath to see what was going to happen with the track, and we've obviously been given the all clear. I think now the big concern is obviously the big weather forecasts and the possibility of 100 mils over the next 2 days. So that has to be a concern, and I guess it just puts a little bit more or a few more questions into the form, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and the first of the questions we got was on Tuesday. Icarian Dream, such an impressive winner there at Eagle Farms, drawn the car park for Kieran Maher, and it certainly has thrown a spanner in the works. So how have you played the 2-year-old feature? I
am playing a Queenslander. Surprise. It's not something I actually do all the time. But when we have a 2-year-old race where we don't have a standout, I mean, last year we had Storm Boy, Cool and Gatter looked a standout. I think it's more of a skirt the law type year, where we're possibly looking at a wet track as well. And everybody looks pretty evenly placed. I mean, of the Sydney horses, they've had turnabout winning. Of the Queensland horses, a little bit similar. I generally like a horse that's fairly experienced, and I think La Bella Boom sort of fits that profile. She's obviously had 3 starts, a number of trials. She's a strong last start winner at the Sunshine Coast in the Pearl. And she's very strong at 1,200 metres. So not a speedy squib, handles wet tracks, handles good tracks. So, you know, I'm assuming she's pulled up an absolute treat, and, have faith in Tony Gollan this week.
And you always have to have faith in Tony, don't you? The premier trainer up in Queensland for just about a decade, if not longer. And, of course, on the 7-day backup, which has proven so important the last few years. I'm playing a New South Wales horse, Memo. Now, she was very flat there last start in Sydney. She raced 3 wide. She did a lot wrong throughout the run. However, if she can replicate her first 2 performances, she's going to be really hard to beat. And what she did show last start was gate speed. So barrier 1, I'm hoping it's a benefit. She can get cover, drop her head and get the gap at the right time. But in regards to spinners in the works, I've spoken about the weather. If we get to race 7 on the day and the inside's chopped out, I might be in a bit of trouble, Bernie.
I've got a second pick, so I definitely see where you're coming with her, and thought she had, many excuses last start, whereas Gallo Nero just sort of got that saloon passage through and hadn't had to do the work that she did.
And that's the question mark, whether she's professional enough already.
Yeah.
But I'm more than happy to take the gamble around $8. I think she certainly is worth a play, and she'd almost be $4 favourite if she didn't do everything wrong and happened to win last start, but that's a big question mark.
And that's another thing with the market. I mean, after the barrier draw, we saw Invincible Woman into $5. So now we're seeing her back out to $6, but still favourite. So it tells us that, there's plenty of nibbles and no one's been smashed yet.
Absolutely. In regards to the 3-year-old Guineas, this will be over the 1,400 metres, and this is a real interesting market because we've seen a lot of gallopers that were firm in betting draw wide. One of those is Bauhinia, who ran the track record last start there at Wyong. It was really impressive doing so, but how are you playing this feature?
Well, given I'm sort of betting that we are going to have a reasonably wet track, and I did really want to play Give Me Space, but I feel like that brilliance is taken away from him on a heavy track, even though he's still quite good when we saw him at Doomben behind Street Chase. So the more I looked at it, I felt like the more confused I really got. I came back to the favourite because she's very fit. She's a mile winner last start. Kieran Maher, obviously the master at keeping these girls going. She's won on a heavy track. And the barrier 9 at this stage probably looks the place you'd want to be at that stage of the day. So solid at the trip, in great form, and covers wet ground.
And very quickly with Give Me Space, deep into the preparation, still lightly raced.
Yeah, doesn't
How's
worry
it
me.
handling?
Yeah, he's flying. The horse is going great guns, but there's no doubt that his brilliance is generally on top of the ground. As I said, it was a heavy 10 the day Street Chase, and he's a great chance in it too, Street Chase, the day that they both met at Doomben, but his brilliance wasn't there, not what we saw last start in the Vo Rogue.
Fantastic. In regards to the Guineas, I've gone with a two-prong attack, that is, and I'm playing a couple of horses that have got different sort of setups, certainly don't have quite the exposed form. The first of those will be King of Russo, drawn really well on the quick backup. I'm really fascinated to see over the next few years. We've seen these 2-year-olds, 7 days between runs. It's been almost the preferred preparation for a lot of trainers to get them peaking in regards to the Classic. And I'm fascinated to see if the sunlight might be the way to go for a lot of these 3-year-olds heading into the Guineas. So I'm more than happy to play him. He drew really wide there last start and worked through the line well. We know Private Harry. He looks a genuine Group 1 galloper. And we saw Lady of Camelot behind. She was unlucky, and she's genuinely Group 1 performed too. So I'm fascinated to see how King of Russo can go. And I'm playing the local hella fast. We have to tip one of the Queenslanders. 1400 is a query. Heavy track, a big query. And when you add the two together, there's a big question mark whether she will run the trip. But I think hella fast can be really hard to beat. In regards to the draw, these two have drawn low. And if the track's playing well, going to get the chance. But if the track starts to chop out, that's going to be the big worry for mine. Finally, Bernie, race number 9 is the Magic Millions Cup. And speaking of open races, we see a lot throughout the day. How do you digest this event?
I'm with Abounding. She's the 3-year-old Guineas winner here, obviously, just last year. So she's 1 for 1 at the track. She's 3rd run in, hitting peak fitness. Probably had a few excuses last start. She was really never on the track. It was a good 3. If we were to get to heavy status, I might be slightly worried. But I think she's got the perfect barrier draw, given that we're likely to be on a wet track. And it's just a matter of, Martin rides her so well. She's drawn poorly on many occasions, and he has given her amazing sorts of rides. So you go back to her 4th behind Bella Nipotina in the Tats Tiara. Her win first up was brilliant. She definitely likes a bit of cush in the track. Obviously, it depends on how wet we get, but I just think she draws nice. I think she's the class runner in this race.
And she drew wide last year, did she not, when she won the Guineas? So she's almost the widest sort of draw, sees her unleash the best.
Yeah, for sure.
But in regards to the Cup, it was the toughest race. It's been an awful long time on this event. I'm more than happy to play the Victorian Charm Stone, Damien Lane, Price and Kent Jr. I think this horse is perfectly placed to produce its best. 1400 metres does suit it. Hasn't quite had the best luck over the journey, but genuine Group 1 performed. The softer heavy tracks is the big question mark for her, but if she can do that, I'm more than happy to make the play. Now, that's a look at a couple of our features. Now, do we want to touch on the maiden very quickly? Because speaking off air, there was one we're both looking forward to, but the majority of the field are first up. It certainly is a target race, and the Gelded Volatile I know I'm keen on in the first.
So am I. I was actually really keen to probably make it a special, but given it's still a bit early, we're not sure what type of track we're going to be dealing with. I'm laying off at the moment. You mentioned how many horses are sort of first up into this race. A lot are held back, a lot are trialled up a lot. Some have had 2, 3 trials plus jump outs, so they're really tuned up for this. Obviously, these Queensland horses at the top, General Boom and Sir Joe, have always promised a lot but have lacked the power punch at the end of their races, whereas I don't think that'll be the problem for Volatile.
Yeah, he was well performed as a 2-year-old. I'm really looking forward to see him return, as with a big card of racing this Saturday on the Gold Coast. Catch all the action here on Sky Racing.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.